is someone who is currently participating in Michigan's Democratic Party convention, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, it's good to see all three of you. I love you. I can't wait to have you have fun and cover this state and this primary. I find it pure hell right now.
I know. I was going to say, for reporters, it's one thing. For those of you that have to do the work and watch your team fight it out, it's probably a different thing. But you were at the convention this weekend with the folks that you saw, whether they were 2028ers or not. But the folks who are seen as kind of like the future of the Democratic Party and the folks that you talked to while you were there, what are you hearing from from Democrats who are looking at Donald Trump and saying, we have a problem here?
So I would say to you that there is the one thing that pulls people together, that after we survive the August primary, and this weekend is a very rough weekend, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's got to be that we have to get rid of the man in the White House, that we will be that winning the House, keeping that Senate seat are going to be critical to being something that is going to be able to stop President Trump. This state is a very complicated state, as you know. We have some proxy races today that are going to reflect the August primary. There's a lot of tension you don't see in other states, quite frankly. When we have a very significant Jewish population here, a very significant Muslim population here, both communities hurting, raw, and we got to find a way to pull everybody together. I think Cory Booker was great yesterday. He, talked to you. You played a clip of his doing that. Governor Beshear was point blank on, talk normally, which you guys have all heard me say multiple times, talk like normal people. And Kamala was good at just talking about the reality. On the ground, there were more people here than we have had. Even the Women's Luncheon, which is where those speeches you played from, was the largest it's ever been, and there were lots of men there, too. Last night's dinner was the biggest dinner we've ever had. So people are energized. You feel it in the crowd. We just got to find a way we're all going to come together and turn out the vote in November.
Congresswoman, I'm going to put you on a spot a little, but it is the topic of our conversation. So I guess it's not the hardest question, but someone that my parents and their friends are always asking me about is one of your Michigan colleagues. That's Elissa Slotkin. And I noticed she's recently been in Iowa and Ohio. Do you think she's exploring a 2028 run? What have your conversations with her been like? And what is her message that's on the ground in Michigan this weekend?
So she was not at the Women's Lunch yesterday. I saw her very briefly. She presented an award at the dinner last night. I think she is definitively running for president of the United States. I think she's making that clear in the way that she is sending out signals. I don't talk to her as much. The House and Senate members, I talk to Gary a lot, probably don't talk as much as they should. But I think she'll be one of many candidates. And I know you want to talk about Michigan, and that's always my favorite because it's reflective of the challenge in the country. But I am very focused on a presidential nominating system that is going to make sure that the issues that are going to determine the outcome in November are part of the early primary system. I think that's why you saw 3 potential presidential candidates visit Michigan, and Elissa was there for a short period of time, and you're seeing her in other states. Michigan is one of the ground zero states, and it's got the whole primary system has got to have early states like that. But we got to test these candidates. If we're going to have the issue that I talked about to you, if uncommitted was one of the determining outcomes last year, then why didn't we talk those issues at the beginning?
Congresswoman Dingell, on that point, I mean, Senator Booker sort of addressed that in the clip that we showed in the intro. And when I read it on paper, I wondered, how did that go over with the crowd? Because it sounded like on paper that he was lecturing the crowd. But when I saw the video and saw the rapturous applause and even standing ovation, how does the senator's message, how is it going over in Michigan? Do folks feel lectured to, or are folks in the Democratic Party thinking, you know what, he's right?
Well, he did a great job. He followed me, actually. where I had gotten up and gave one of my Debbie Dingell speeches, which I always get the crowd worked up. But everybody else had been talking about a lot of issues that matter. And I got up and said, I'm going to say one thing. We need to remember that we have got to come together because we are focused on one thing, and that is a White House. And then I didn't speak long, but I spoke very bluntly about the big, I can't use the word on television, bill. And he came right behind and was like, we got to be united. You can't do that 10%. So people listened. I'm not going to tell you it's not raw in Michigan today, but this is April. We got a primary that's going to get Arab people. People are going to talk to a lot of people. And then we do have to pull together because we have lost Michigan. Hillary Clinton did not win Michigan. Kamala did not. And we have got to get out and make sure we keep our Democratic seats and pick some up.
Congresswoman Debbie Dingell of the great state of Michigan, as always, thank you very much for coming to the weekend.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
And let's bring in New York Times bestselling author Kirsten Powers. Her Substack is Changing the Channel with Kirsten Powers. Also with us, former Congressman Joe Walsh. He served as a Republican and is now a Democrat. Joe, always great to see you. Kirsten, where have you been? It has been ages.
Excuse you.
Yeah. No. I was going to say, you know me, you say Italy, we can talk about it all day long, but we can't. We're going to talk politics.
Yeah.
So since you've been away in Italy, this is great. The lay of the land, the conversation that we were just having with Congresswoman Dingell. What's your view?
I mean, I think, look, everybody's out there making their case, trying to woo the Democratic voters. I think we got, it seems like a little bit of news from her about Alyssa Slotkin. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with Debbie Dingell. She tends to know what's going on around her state. So I think it's interesting what you pointed out about with Cory Booker, him pointing out that, look, we really... Democratic voters, certain people didn't vote for people that were basically 90% there.
Right.
And, you know, we can't do that again. We can't be purists. We have to really be people who go for the person who is mostly with us.
Is there a name that has been breaking through even in Europe?
Oh, gosh, no. No. I mean, the only name that you really hear consistently in Europe is Trump. Honestly, because he looms so large over not just the United States, but over what's happening everywhere in the world, and particularly in Europe. And right now, we're looking at the gas prices. That's affecting everybody, right? I mean, that's something that's affecting. I think it's going to end up affecting this election, and is certainly affecting people's lives.
Jon Ossoff is probably the best messenger that the Democrats have right now, the most consistent. Let's play a little bit more from his campaign rally in Augusta, Georgia from yesterday.
I don't know if you saw, but J.D. Vance was in Georgia this week. Don't worry, no one showed up, but J.D. came to UGA to attack the Pope. 2 days after Donald Trump depicted himself as Jesus Christ, the faithless president, depicts himself as Christ while he plunges the nation into wars of choice. And remember, while you pay more for everything, the First Family's wealth is growing by billions of dollars. Because they're crooks. And everybody knows it.
Now, Joe, that last sentence, remember, while you pay more for everything, the First Family's wealth is growing by billions of dollars because they're crooks. His words, not mine. And everybody knows it. Also his assertion, not mine. That feels like something that every Democrat should be saying. If you're tying the fact that people have less money in their pockets every single day, that the gas is too damn high, rent is too damn high, all the utilities are too high, everything is too high, healthcare is too high, and yet we are seeing the president's family, whether it's him or his sons or whoever, getting more money as they work while he's in the White House. That seems like an easy message.
Eugene,
yeah.
That was the story of Hungary, right? The corruption of Orban's administration. They were all making gazillions while the average Hungarian was taking it on the chin. Absolutely, that's the message. A contrarian view. I don't want this to sound funny, I don't want to see Democratic potential candidates for president 28 out there right now.
Speak for yourself, sir. I get very excited.
Eugene, I'd rather see you out there. Look, this is all about Trump. The midterms are about Trump. Democrats are going to win the House, assuming, we always have to say this, there are free and fair elections. I want the focus to be on how bad, evil, corrupt, and un-American he is. That be after the midterms, then I think, okay, here's who we are as Democrats. But keep the focus on this bad guy in the White House. That's what's energizing voters.
But who does that if not the folks with all the name ID?
Oh, anybody out there, and John Ossoff, by the way, does this very well. Yeah. When you listen to him speak, most of it is about the corruption of Trump, the lawlessness of Trump.
Epstein class. That was
the
his.
Epstein class.
Mar-a-Lago Mafia.
He's very pithy over there in Georgia.
Literative.